It's just very hard to get good quality malachite. It's very hard. You know, things need to change right now. What? Okay, I will accept this. I will accept this weird thing. I accept it because it's weird and it's lonely, like me. Jackpot. So as we're looking at malachite and chrysocolla right here, this is about to be coming up in the live streams. That's really cool. Very cool color. We are going to need about like 3 or 4 times this material. So what we're going to do is we're going to unpack some malachite fresh and we'll do it together. Right off the bat, you see like we got some beautiful stuff. So one of the most basic things about malachite and chrysocolla in this instance is that it forms primarily in places where there is trace amounts of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and then also water. This is super. I'm gonna keep that for sure. Again, it's more of a byproduct than it actually is an organic growing material, because without the oxidation, without the copper, without the water involved, we wouldn't be seeing this mineral. This is super nice. That's the problem when you're like addicted to minerals. Like, look at that, dude, bingo. Crazy botryoidal. No, I didn't see a lot of malachite, and the malachite that I did see was, you know, either very low grade or a very high cost, you know. So that's kind of what we're seeing now in the industry in general, is low grade material going for really high cost. Even like a lot of the Madagascar dealers that I saw out at the gem show, who are big dealers actually, big wholesalers. Me and Max, when we were walking through their booths, like we even had thought, because of the taxes on Madagascar now, and for us to bring stuff out of Madagascar is really cheap. We were even thinking about buying out a booth when we were in Denver, and we were looking for a dealer to buy out, but the quality was just, it wasn't even about price. We didn't even get to that. Just walking through, you know, a lot of the booths that we saw, like the quality was not to our standards. I need like wet polished material, and I need quality material. All right, so here's the deal. You got malachite coming out of the Congo, which is supposed to be the most lucrative, right? But it's not necessarily true. So like this is botryoidal malachite coming out of the Congo, and then you have like this stuff here, which you call like fibrous malachite, and this is also coming out of the Congo. But then you have stuff like this, which is coming out of Morocco. So this is your malachite coming out of Morocco, which is more crystallized or granular, if you will. But the stuff coming out of Morocco is still pretty easy peasy to get. What most people are going to be fixated on is like the really, really good, like this stuff right here. Look at that. Material like this coming out of the Congo, like your A grade, your high grade stuff. Nowadays, this kind of stuff costs a fortune. It just does. Like I couldn't afford to buy this quality of material today. The thing is like you can sell really low grade, non-wet polished material for a really cheap price. I still don't want it. It's not what I'm into. This is old stock that I have here. You know, this is not stuff that I've gotten recently, but that's why you're seeing prices on malachite like, you know, $200, $300 a kilo, you know, or like most people selling it for like $60 a pound, which translates to like $130 a kilo, which is okay, but it's still really hard. It's a very, like if you need to bring in a ton of this material right now, it's almost unaffordable. Also coming out of the Congo is cobalto calcite. Also, you know, quite expensive and not cheap either. You know, I've been talking to someone in the Congo right now for like the last like 3 months, and I'm trying to get a sample order. It's been 3 months and they can't even get me a sample order. I don't know, it's brutal. It's brutal out there. You know, things need to change right now. But I'll say the one that we all know, anybody in the import business, we all know it. There's no like secret or like, you know, can't say. The tariffs that are being imposed on imports right now are wreaking freaking havoc. It's a problem for everybody in every industry. If you are importing, you don't like it. And if you do like it, you're a sadist.
A what?
Sadist.
What's that?
Freaking toilet paper. So actually this is material that has never even been looked at. So this is the first time we're both gonna look at this material. The reason you know that is because it's wrapped in toilet paper, and I would never in my wildest dreams wrap my minerals in toilet paper. Really great quality. That's super nice. Insane. Look at it, like look at this. This is insane. I don't like that they use all the toilet paper, but they always use like kids' homework. I think anybody who's ever bought like malachite directly from the Congo, you know what I'm talking about. They use like company documents and like kids' homework. There's people's names on here, man. Ngowi? I did meet someone who was able to go to the Congo directly and bring the stuff back, which is really kind of how it has to be done nowadays. If you're not going yourself and doing the legwork, getting malachite out of the Congo is really, really hard to do. There's no way that like wrapping stuff in toilet paper is the most cost-efficient way to do things. Oh, that's super. And you know, the thing is you want to make sure you don't get your hands on stolen material. That's one of the things that's happening a lot now in the industry is stolen material. There is tons of theft and dishonesty. Once people who like are unscrupulous find out that there's money to be made on something, you know, they're running to get involved, and that's what's happened. With lapis, it happened. With malachite, it's happened. With the zeolite mines, with selenite, with satin spar coming out of Morocco. I'm turning down material all the time because I can't prove sourcing. And you don't want stolen material. I mean, if you want good energy material, good juju material, then you want to make sure it's not stolen. Ain't that the truth? My introduction to malachite actually came when I was running a kiosk out of a mall in the beginning of my career. Some lady came up to me at the kiosk and was like, I have this stone in my basement. My husband left a bunch of it, and unfortunately her husband had passed away, and he was a malachite dealer. And so I went to this lady's house, went in her basement, and sure enough, there was just like tons of malachite in all different shapes, forms, whatever it is. And she let me take all of it. And she didn't even want money for it. She just wanted it out of the house. At the time, I didn't know. This was my introduction to malachite. You know, when I first got into the industry, it took me time to learn all of this stuff. Also, at that time, social media wasn't like what it is now, where you can just like go on Google or social media and you can kind of figure out and find out whatever the hell you want. You kind of had to work for it a little harder back then. But my introduction to malachite was that, literally emptying a basement out of it. And at the end, I wound up giving her like $500 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. She didn't want to take it. I told her I didn't feel comfortable if I didn't give her some money. I had no idea what it was worth, but it was a lot. It was like animals, spheres, bracelets, beads, pyramids, tumbled stones, towers, free forms, rough material. It was crazy. And then I came out to Denver, to the Denver Gem Show, and I sold all of it super cheap, like $10 a pound. Again, it's one of those things where, we just need to make sure that environmentally and ethically things are done the right way. One of the things that you can see in here is something that's called fibrous malachite. So there's several different ways that malachite's going to form. You have stalactite formations, which are like basically the little cylinders. You have botryoidal that comes in like nodules or nodes. So like super botryoidal. This is probably a piece I can part ways with. That's nice. The black stuff that you're seeing inside of there is what's called shattuckite. I prefer the black. That's my personal preference. I do like when there's like a really dark black color around the concentric circles. Like this is a jackpot for me, like for sure. I also am seeing this guy here. This guy's gonna stay most likely with me. Sometimes it can look as if the material was dyed, and that's because sometimes people do dye the material. It's not uncommon that you see dyed material, especially in the chrysocolla range. And one of the easiest ways to tell would be through the paper, right? So if this was dyed material, one of the things that I would see here, like on this paper, is we would see traces of blue. We would see some of the ink. It will come off, even if it's a slight degree. You would even see it on your hands. But you can see that there is no ink here on this paper, and this material's been sitting in this box for, I'm going to say, about 3 years plus. So, again, no ink on the paper. Here's another nice white piece of paper. Again, you could see no ink. It's one of the ways I can show you that it's not dyed. If you're concerned that maybe your malacola is dyed, one of the things you can do is just take a paper towel, dampen it just a little bit, and then just leave it wrapped for about 10 minutes, and you'll see if some of the blue comes off. Well, that's very nice, but not really a keeper for me personally. For me, how I choose my rocks is definitely based off of rarity, but also it's just the thing. As soon as I see a rock, I kind of know. For example, this is I know this is a rock that stays with me. I know that this is a rock that stays with me. There's no question. This also is another rock that stays with me for sure. Actually, this is one that I might let go. I don't want to be completely selfish, and we do need to pay some bills around here. These are my picks. I definitely am not gonna part with those three. I do like malachite a lot, and so I have a very, very large, when I say very large, I'm gonna say I don't know, 5-6 pallets worth of material. There you go. That's my speed right there. Maybe some people are like, oh, that's not that much material, but each pallet has probably around 800 kilos on it. So it's a lot. And one of the other things we should share is that it's pretty common that I hear people talk about malachite being toxic. It's not necessarily toxic. Handling the material is not really that big of a concern. The real concern comes in the polishing. So if people are not really protecting themselves, wearing really good masks, having good ventilation, they can get very sick. So it's important that people working on polishing malachite are protecting themselves and taking precautions so that they don't get sick. Again, there's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like that beautiful. Typically what we're seeing is malachite being mined in what you would call open pits. It's also mined underground, and if the proper precautions are not taken, it can definitely cause toxicity in the water, and it can cause environmental problems. So it's really important that when sourcing malachite, that you know things about malachite, and that you're not sourcing from people who have destructive tendencies. And one of the things that will make a big difference is that if we all kind of make that a priority and not just like if someone says something and we're all like, oh, okay. There's a lot that goes into making sure that things are done right. Wow, this is my girl right here. All right, we'll end with that one because this is, we're full over here. Let's take a look. This is what I've decided to hold on to. Again, one of the things like I've always said about material is, it's okay to hold onto the material and hoard the material as long as you revisit it a year later or so and make sure that it's as good as you thought it was a year ago. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you learned something. See you next time.